Nightly Musers, followers of the pod, faithful few and hopeful many. This is Anchor by Spotify. If you haven't heard about it, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's the very platform that allows me to give you what I give you on the nightly. So let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And it gives you the ability to distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so much more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally FREE free. So here's where you come in. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That is ANCHOR.fm to get started. Thank you very much. Peace. Welcome to the Nightly Muse. This is your host, Tinayeshe. Shout out Low Fly. It's actually nighttime right now at the time of this recording, which is fun because sometimes I do it during the day. Again, forsaking the Black Love episode that I wanted to talk about, but this is a shout out to The Basement podcast with Tim Ross. I've been listening to it since maybe today. Absolutely blowing me away. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about in light of the podcast was, I wish I took note of it. Yes, so he was talking about vulnerability and sin, and how leaders in the church will mask their present by talking about it like it's their past. I didn't say the quote exactly right. And I've referenced my struggle with pornography and stuff. But one of the biggest problems I have with church is, and I wasn't able to articulate it that well, Christianity in general, is that we put ourselves in situations where whenever we talk, we'll sensationalize sin in the Bible. David, Bathsheba, Peter, whether it's him denying Christ or his, they don't really talk about his, what is the word? I think it starts with a P. Oh, come on. When you prejudice, there we go. It did start with a P. We don't really talk about Peter's prejudice as much because the church doesn't really like talking about racism, but that's another conversation for another day. We will sensationalize Peter's denial. We will sensationalize David's sin, sexual sin, but we don't talk about sexual sin in the church as a present reality outside of saying that it happens. One of the best things that God allowed me to do, in spite of my struggle with pornography, is that I've been very public with individuals about it, because I think that that's the best way to combat it. But what I don't want to do on this podcast is talk about porn like it's just my past. Sexual sin, lust, whatever, masturbation. What I will say is I'm fighting my best to make sure that it's not a part of my future in the present. And what I mean by that is I grew up in an environment with a mindset. It might have not been established like in church, but the idea of deliverance, me being, deliverance meaning I will never have the desire. And in some experiences with some people, like, that was kind of the vibe they gave off when they talked about being delivered from pornography or whatever it was, that they just never watched it again. They had no urge, nothing. And that wasn't my story. And again, I guess this episode is more for the person who does struggle, or you have a kid that struggles, or whatever, you know somebody that struggles. Deliverance may not mean, the Bible does say, whom the Son sets free is free indeed. The work that Christ did on the cross, I believe, is a complete work. Obviously, that's the theology of that is what I don't disagree with that. But what I don't believe is that deliverance looks the same for everybody. I believe that what God did on the cross has delivered me from this sin, but that doesn't mean that I don't have the desire to do it, or to masturbate, or to, I was made sexual, we have a libido, a sex drive, that is a part of our, body makeup. And with that is the temptation to adulterate. That's where adultery comes from, to manipulate, to mess up the way by which God wants me to operate within that sexuality or whatever. And for me to sit here and talk about my struggle with pornography, and my struggle with masturbation, and my struggle with lust, as if it is some past thing, and to act like it's in the past all the time, no, this is something that I'm actively fighting to make a part of my past, so that it's not a part of my future. Why? Because I do want to be a good husband, a faithful husband, and a good father, a protective father, and not a hypocrite, and a good, healthy worker in ministry, and an obedient follower of Christ. Those are my reasons. That's my why. And I believe that it's not good for me because that's what God says. But my encouragement, or my challenge, or whatever you want to call it, is you've got to fight. My personal belief with this struggle in my life, is that it's not going to be out of sight, out of mind ever for me. I've struggled with this thing for, give or take, 15 years. That doesn't go away in one day. And if I never watched it again for the rest of my life, it would and I met my wife, I don't know, tomorrow, and we started dating and then got married, I would have to date her for at least 16 years, give or take, for me to at least equate, I have been with my wife longer than I've struggled with porn. That sucks. That reality sucks for me. That is a consequence that I have to walk through. But at the same time, what I do know is that I have to fight it. Covenant eyes, leaving my phone out of my room, boundaries, accountability partners, etc., 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 etc. And it is an inconvenience, and it sucks. Currently, I gave my PlayStation to my boss just to keep for me, because it is the only place that I don't have boundaries, because you can't really you can't put covenant eyes on a PlayStation. I've inconvenienced myself for the sake, this is not a humble brag. This is me telling you what I have to do to keep myself straight on the straight and narrow. And I still fold. And I don't think God wants me to feel shame for it, but he does want me to pursue righteousness, and he does want me to walk in freedom. And for me, walking in freedom is a fight. I feel like I've experienced a lot of firsts this year, and all of these firsts are a result of processes. My journey in the gym I have now been in the gym for 2 weeks straight, I think. Yeah, 2 weeks straight. No, sorry. Math is hard. 2 weeks straight in the gym. And I've never done that before. 2 weeks straight. No negotiations. No if, ands, or buts. Nah, we are going to the gym. I've been reading my Bible more consistently as a result, and I've been doing this consistently. Like, these are processes. But for the first time in my life, like, I did a decent job when I was a kid trying to set boundaries and stay away. But what I wasn't good at, which was what my mentor told me, was that I wasn't good at running towards Jesus. I was great at running away from porn, but I wasn't great at running towards the Father, which is the way that you stay successful, that you can run and not grow weary, walk and not faint. I was good at, I was quoting Isaiah, I was good at confession, but I wasn't good at calling out for help when I needed it. And today, with my accountability group, like, we try to be communicative. We talk about our good days. One day, one of my friends in the group was like, well, why are you always so, like, I'm extra. I know that about myself. And I am long-winded, which sometimes you can tell in these episodes. And it's clear proof in the fact that I can do a daily podcast and have 50-something episodes. I'm long-winded. But anyway, I asked him how the day was going, and he said good, and I said why? And then somebody else, the person that asked me the question, was like, dude, why do you have to be so poetic all the time? And I was like, you know why? Because when we struggle with porn, when we say that we messed up, we always give this highfalutin, educated, theologically sound laundry list of reasons why we messed up. There's always some ingredient, special secret sauce for why we fell today. And whether it was masturbation, porn, or whatever. And when we have good days, we just say it was good. Why was it good? There are patterns to good too. I got 8 hours of sleep. I went to the gym and I felt good about myself. I talked to a girl and got her phone number, and that was cool. Like, there are litanies of reasons why a day can be good, but we do a better job of talking about why it's bad. When we are not good at celebrating the good, the moments of freedom, the moments of actually being able to successfully walk in righteousness. We don't celebrate those. And that goes into, like, sometimes with, like, my relationship with parents, it's like, yeah, I understand that the expectation is that I get good grades, but tell me I did a good job, because it's hard work. And sometimes affirmation is needed. Sometimes that thank you or I'm proud of you is needed. Sometimes saying love you with an I in front of it is needed, because it means more than just love you, the throwaway. So right now with my accountability group, we got to get dirty with it, because I don't want to keep this. I don't want to take this into a marriage or into a dating relationship or into whatever, or continue it into my ministry. Like, and that isn't in my own strength. We were, my goodness, what was the passage? It was 1 Peter 2, which says, starting at verse, I'm not stalling. I just haven't found it yet. It was putting away all. It was a warning about heresy. Come on. There we go. Therefore, rid yourself of all malice and all deceit, hypocrisy, envy, slander, of every kind. Like newborn babies, crave pure spiritual milk, so that by it you may grow up in your salvation, now that you have tasted the Lord. Now that you have tasted that the Lord is good. Let me read that one more time. Therefore, rid yourselves of all malice and all deceit, hypocrisy, envy, and slander of every kind. Like newborn babies, crave pure spiritual milk, so that by it you may grow up in your salvation, now that you have tasted that the Lord is good. I think I messed up on some of the spots. But the point is, to me, I don't think that God has Peter right. And I said this in my Bible study community group, whatever you want to call it. I don't think God put that in there to just screw with us and say, "Oh, put it all away," if it's not possible. But the thing is, you got to put it away. It's a cycle. I realize, oh, I can't put this away on my own. So I run to the Father, which helps me to put it away. Because when I'm running to him, I'm more aware of my own sin. And so, like, in part, I've got to talk. I've got to say, hey, guys, feeling kind of horny today. Hey, guys, I'm feeling kind of lustful. Hey, I'm going to the gym. Like, I had to tell them the other day, I go to the gym and I am working out and doing all this stuff, and like the honeymoon phase is kind of over of just feeling good because I'm getting there. And I notice there are all these people that, not all of them, but most of them, a lot of them have achieved the aesthetic goals, the physical goals, the health goals that I want. And I'm not there. And I have to look in the mirror every day and see myself and say, hey, I know this is going to take time, but the reality of it is that it takes time, and it kind of sucks because I want to look like my friend Shane, who's like 40 or 50 and is freaking yoked. And I'm like, I want to look like that. I want to look like the guy, Bob, that works at the YMCA. I love that guy. And I say every time, how's it going? And I'm like, hey, I'm trying to look like you. And it makes him laugh, but I low-key mean it. Like, I want to look like him at his age. I want to look like that now. And so I'm seeing that all the time, and it makes me insecure. And I'll see a girl or whatever, and she's kind of cute or whatever, and like makes me feel insecure because I'm like, I don't even feel attractive. And that might lead me in, it leads me in directions I shouldn't go. And that was the first time I remember I said that to them, and I was like, I don't necessarily know if this is the reason I messed up, but this is something that I thought about. And I was like, hey, I'm in this space where I'm constantly reminded of where I'm not. The positive is I'm constantly reminded of where I'm trying to go, but the reality is I'm not there yet. And I feel like the Kennedy that was on the basketball team that was doing suicides, and the entire team was done, and then I wasn't. And they're waiting on me, cheering me on, or they're trying to join me. And I'm like, get the F away from me. I just want to finish. But I can't do that. I can't kick everybody out and just be in the gym by myself because it's a gym. And so my insecurities lead me to, but I have to talk about that. The other part of the accountability is my accountability partner's got to hit me up and say, hey, bro, how are you feeling? We've got to check in. It's work. It is hard work to pursue freedom. It is hard work to pursue righteousness and walk in it. Why? Because I have to abide and stay with God, which is hard because I just finished Numbers. No, I just finished Leviticus, which took me almost 3 months. And I have to abide in him and stay devoted to him and actually read my Bible every day. Like, these things are not, they're not easy. Sorry, they're not difficult. They're not easy. And I have to do them because when I stay close to him, then it helps me not do the other things. And I wasn't like here to preach, but I'm just tired of us acting like we're perfect and us working in the church meaning, oh, we're perfect. And then people find out that we're not perfect. And then it leads them to not trust the church because all the people that have been acting like there's no sin in the confines of the church staff, then they get found out and nobody has faith in church anymore. Like, I'm sick of that. So why not be real and say, hey, this is what I'm working through. I don't mean that you have to throw out your dirty laundry on a podcast like I'm doing, or that, and I haven't even like given you the real, but like, it doesn't mean you got to air out everything on the pulpit, but I'm just saying, like, can we be real about the things that actually go on? Can we be real? Can we be honest? I want to be honest with you guys. It's hard to keep my eyes to myself. It's hard to acknowledge beauty and not want to take a second look. It is hard to pursue righteousness and not watch porn when I've struggled with it since I was maybe under 8 years old, when I was exposed to it for the first time. It is hard to not go back there because I know it better than I know some of my best friends. So yes, Deliverance is real. Yes, freedom is possible. Yes, I can, by God's grace and power and strength, never turn back. But it takes, my God, it takes a lot of work. And you've got to be willing to fight. And for the first time in my life, in a long time, I have felt like fighting. Because for a long time, I just felt like I was losing and I wanted to give up. The only reason I didn't and I tried was because I was like, well, I believe in this stuff, so I still kind of have to try to live right. But man, it sucked and it was shameful and it was guilt-ridden and it was extremely, extremely painful. But now I've got 3 guys in my life that I adore, where we can be real and encourage each other. And there's still so much more that we can do, still so much learning that needs to be done, still so much more vulnerability that needs to happen, but we're at least trying. And it's got to happen, because I know the 3 guys that are in that group want to be dads, want to be husbands, want to be good, God-fearing Christ followers like myself. And so we got to work to get there. We got to tell each other to pursue righteousness and stay tethered to the Spirit, to God. The whole it takes a village. Yeah, it takes a village. It takes brothers. It takes family. It takes being willing to have conversations that are uncomfortable. And what I love about this podcast that I've been listening to is that he says penis and vagina. Like, he says we act like these things don't exist. And then we never talk about it. And then the only education we get is from outside, because the conversations are never had in the bubble. We just, oh man, we 99% sanitize, Clorox, bleach the bubble. And then as soon as you get outside of it, you get dirty and you experience dirt for the same time. That's not even scientifically like how things are supposed to go. Part of immunity requires exposure. I'm not saying you got to expose yourself to filth, but what I'm saying is if we act like it's not there, then the second that we encounter it, it beats the brakes off of us. Anyway, I feel like I'm yelling. The whole point of this is, I keep saying far be it for me, but honestly, like, I don't want to continue this without being honest about my story. And I don't want to say I've struggled with blah, 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 blah. No, this is not a past struggle. This is a current struggle that I'm trying to make my past. Because I believe it's possible and because I want it bad. I want freedom so freaking bad. And I want it for my brothers. But it takes work. It takes a fight. And dang it, you gotta fight. So, I'm not saying God isn't powerful enough to Thanos snap your porn struggle away, or your cheating or gambling or whatever struggle it is away. I'm not saying that he is powerful enough to zap that thing into non-existence. But for some, it takes a little bit of effort. For a lot, maybe most, maybe all, I don't know. But it seems that it takes a lot of work and a lot of running to him. So let's run to him together, if that's what you believe in. 23 minutes. I was supposed to make this 10, but here we are. I love you guys. I just wanted to be real for a second and not confessing. I just wanted to be honest about my story. I'm just tired of... Oh, I almost cursed. I am just tired of acting like... I'm tired of acting like this stuff doesn't exist. That it just magically vanishes. Oh, now, obviously, now I don't know. I struggle with that stuff. I said in the thing, we were struggling and talking about why it's so hard. And I said, you want to know why it's so hard? Because masturbation feels good, girls are hot, and sex is awesome. Those are all true. But God has a way and a formula, what is the phrase? We'll call it a framework that we're supposed to operate in. And when we get outside of that framework, it's wrong. But inside of it, inside the confines of what he's created for us, it's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be experienced. Porn isn't. Masturbation, I don't necessarily think is. But yeah, marriage, great. Have at it. Outside of it, no, don't do it. And that's hard, especially when porn is so easily accessible and every movie feels like it too. I mean, my gosh. It's hard to hide. It's hard to run away from it. Easy to hide. Hard to run away from it and avoid it. It's so easy to get exposed. Man, I was 8 and I got exposed on accident on a computer. And that was before Netflix and all this other crap. Imagine, like, I'm scared to have kids, low-key. I always said I wanted a girl first for different reasons. But man, I'm low-key terrified to have a boy because, man, if I got exposed on accident, boy. Little mini Tinayeshe is going to have some problems. But anyway, I just want to be real, and I can commit to when that day comes and mini Tinayeshe is running around, his father's going to be real with him. Because that's how we get there. God wants all of us so that he can do that work to help us change. Anyway, man, I'm really preaching right now. I need to stop because I need to make dinner. It's late. All right. I love you guys. Shout out Low Fly. Peace.